We're going to tell you why the Yankees should go after Guardians outfielder Steven Kwan on an all-new live edition of Locked On Yankees.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm Stacey Gotsulias. He's Brian McKeon. Welcome to Locked On Yankees, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen every day. In case you're new to the show, I've been hosting since 2018. I was a writer about baseball in general and the Yankees dating back to 2011. Brian, tell everyone about yourself.
Yeah, I started hosting at WFAN in 2021. Did overnights over there and then moved my way over to Locked On, and I'm proud to be a part of the network.
Yeah, so we have a lot of years of experience covering baseball and covering the Yankees specifically. Today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. On today's show, the Yankees have a new first base coach who isn't exactly new, but we'll tell you all about him. But first, the case for acquiring Steven Kwan. Brian came up with this idea. We thought it would be a good one. It's the offseason. Why not talk about stuff like this?
Yeah, so I got to be honest with you. Going into the offseason, I wasn't too keen on going after Steven Kwan or really too up on the idea of getting him. I didn't think he would be necessarily available from the Guardians. It seems like he is with all the trade rumors going on. When there's smoke, there's fire with situations like this. There's never a situation where a player is talked about nonstop in trade arguments or trade discussion throughout the entire offseason, and the team has no desire to trade him. There's obviously smoke when there's fire. So there's something to that. And my good buddy who we had on last week on the show, John Jastrzemski, brought it up to me about the acquisition of Steven Kwan and if it would make sense for the New York Yankees. And the more and more I think about it and the more and more I look into it, is the more and more I think it actually works and it actually is a smart move. Now, I want to preface it. First, in the second segment, we're going to talk about what a trade package looks like from a Yankee perspective and if me and Stacey would agree to that package. On this segment, I'm going to discuss really who Steven Kwan is, what the kind of player he is, and why he fits the New York Yankees. I want to preface all of that first with saying I'm a Kyle Tucker guy. I don't want Steven Kwan if it means they don't get Kyle Tucker. I like Kyle Tucker. I think he fits. I want to pay him the money. I think he's a perfect player for what they're looking for right now. So I want to preface it all with that. Steven Kwan, to me, is their plan B. And it's a damn good plan B if it comes to it. Now, I also think there's a little wrench thrown into all this, like we discussed last week, if Trent Grisham winds up accepting his qualifying offer. I still don't quite understand why the Yankees offered him it. I think it's too much money, and it's too big of a risk for the draft pick they could potentially wind up acquiring for getting Trent Grisham, for him leaving. $22 million for 1 year for a center fielder who historically doesn't have a crazy track record of great numbers, I think is a little too rich for my blood. We'll see what winds up happening. But Steven Kwan on the Guardians, 27 years old, under team control until 2027. Potentially, that makes this a 1-year deal for the New York Yankees because if they have a lockout in 2027, his contract still works. It doesn't mean the contract doesn't affect that year, even if they don't play baseball. So it's kind of like a 1-year deal for 2026. I think that's important to keep in mind. You're not getting a player with years and years of team control. You're at max getting 2 years, probably getting 1 year. So that's a big thing to keep in mind. He's attractive to the Yankees. Why? He's been in the league for 4 years, Stacey, and he has 4 Gold Gloves out in left field. And it's been since Brett Gardner that the Yankees have had a really competent left fielder out there. That's been great in the field. It's not common for them. Jason Dominguez was not great last year.
Unless Cody Bellinger was the one playing left field.
Well, yeah, but he wasn't their primary left fielder.
Right.
So it's been a while since they've really had true Gold Glove play out of left field, and they're missing that clearly. Last season, he had 22 defensive runs saved and led the league with 13 outfield assists, which is a really crazy good stat for them. These are his 2025 numbers, and keep in mind, he'd be the Yankees' leadoff hitter if they acquired him. He had 272 with a 330 on base percentage, 11 home runs, 56 RBIs. He played in 156 games. He had only 60 strikeouts in that time and 55 walks. He gets on base, And he gets on base a lot by making contact, Stacey.
Mhm.
This is not a player who necessarily walks a ton, but he makes contact all the time. He always puts the ball in play. And if you learned anything from this postseason and this World Series, it would have to teach you that putting the ball in play is super valuable in the sport. We are not sitting here saying home runs don't matter. I'm not going to be that person. But they have that in their lineup. They have Giancarlo Stanton. They have Aaron Judge. They have Ben Rice. The power is there, Stacey. What they need is a true leadoff hitter who's going to get himself on base and allow Aaron Judge to drive in more runs and allow Giancarlo Stanton to drive in more runs because he's on base. And I want to mention this based on the World Series just ended. The Blue Jays needed Vladdy Jr. to get there, for sure. They needed George Springer, right? They need all the home run hitters. They also needed Ernie Clement. They needed someone who's going to get on base, who's going to put the ball in play, who's going to make the other team make plays. Steven Kwan does that. He fields at an elite level, and he puts the ball in play and creates havoc on the base paths. I don't think he should be plan A, but if they miss out on Kyle Tucker, this is a really, really, really good second place prize.
And it would be nice to have someone penciled in at the top and not having to worry about it, because it's been a while since that's happened, because we joke about it when it happened, and we've joked about it since, but we thought we were getting someone in the leadoff spot at the beginning of the season, and within a day it was changed, even though he did pretty well in the leadoff spot, and Boone just kept going through different guys, and then also riding different guys, even when it was clear that they weren't fit for the leadoff spot.
Yep.
So it would be nice for, remember those lineups that, even Joe Girardi would pencil in, and you would know from 1 to 7, basically, everyone's position where they were hitting, because there would be no real deviation from it. And I'd like to have that again.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
And I'm not opposed to, based on matchups, switching up the 3 and the 5 hitter one day,
Sure.
or mixing things up. I don't hate that either.
Right.
But look at a perfect example. Go back to the World Series, and I'm going to use those two teams because those are the two teams who won the pennants, and they're the best two teams that are remaining last year. Every year, every game, the Dodgers' top 5 has some variation of Shohei Ohtani, Will Smith, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Max Muncy. Every single game. Or Teoscar Hernandez slides up. Every single game. There's value to that consistency. Every game, the Blue Jays had some combination of George Springer, Nathan Lukes, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette. You need to have that level of consistency. The Yankees have not had that in years. Every day it felt like with the Yankees, it was Grisham, or it was Wells, or it was Volpe, and we're just moving guys up and down.
Or Goldschmidt.
Yeah, and they're showing up to the ballpark every day, not knowing where they're playing. There's a negative to that. That's not necessarily a good thing. And this would be a positive, having a guy that's there every single day. No matter what, he played 156 games last year. He also stole 22 bases last year. That's a pretty good positive sign too. He gives you a little bit of speed up there. I just think that this is a move that really benefits them, especially with the elite fielding. You have a short thing in your lineup at the top of the order every single day.
You know what it also does? I just thought of this. If you get a guy at the top who gets on base, then steals a base, not that you don't want Aaron Judge to hit a home run, but you also don't want Aaron Judge to feel pressure to have to hit a home run because he's afraid of what's behind him not doing anything. So having someone on second might actually help him just get a single, get a double, just get everything rolling instead of having to constantly kill the ball. Yes, we love Aaron Judge hitting home runs all the time, but I feel like it's better for him to not have the pressure to have to hit those home runs. He can just run into them.
You know what it is too? I'm not worried about that necessarily on, because I know we're going to get those comments is, well, what if Aaron Judge is up there trying to hit singles more and it decreases the power numbers? It's not going to decrease the power numbers. Aaron Judge is one of those players that's going to get his no matter what. He's going to hit. He's proven it to you over the years. He's going to hit 45 to 55 home runs next year, barring health, no matter what. He's not going to falter in one category. And we saw it last year. The average is still super high. He's getting base hits and he's hitting 50 plus. Mm-hmm. You see it every year anyway. So that doesn't concern me. But I think the security of having, I think you're right. Not having that weighted vest on your shoulders 24/7 of needing to be the run provider in the lineup and just being able to go up there and being able to do your thing is huge. Now I will say
play baseball. You're playing baseball. You're not just killing the ball. Because which again, we all like it, but it would be nice for them to.
If he's going up there to hit, he's going to hit his 45, 50 anyway. Like that. This thing is the power's there regardless. Yep. I would think this though. if Trent Grisham declines the offer and they bring back Bellinger and Kwan, I think it's a terrific offseason.
Sure.
I do. And you just want Bellinger to be your full-time center fielder and Kwan to be your left fielder. Again, I do want to preface, though, acquiring Kwan is basically, you got to look at it as a one-year deal. Because if they're going to lock out in 2027, you can't look at it as, oh, they got 2 years of control. They kind of don't.
Right.
So you got to look at that a little bit. And on the other side, we're going to discuss what trade packages make sense for the Yankees when it comes to getting him for just 1 year.
Right. All right, don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notifications so you know when our videos go up. You can also join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. For the listeners of our show, the link is in our description. If you're watching us on YouTube, there you go. QR code, use your phone, get it, sign up for the Insiders Club. You get text from us. You can text us questions, comments, reactions to trades and signings, reactions to any of the big stories in the offseason. We've gotten a few of those. You also get top priority on Fan Mail Friday. During the season, we send out the lineups, any roster moves that are made, and any breaking news, so you don't have to check social media. There's also an added perk. We have a private Discord where you can commiserate during games or when breaking news happens. There's a 14-day free trial. All right, coming up, what could a trade package for Steven Kwan look like? There are possibilities here, so we're going to discuss that next.
The NFL season is heading towards the playoffs, and honestly, there's nothing like being in the stadium, surrounded by the fans, cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be such a hassle between the queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout. It's unbelievably frustrating. And that's why for every event that I go to, I use Gametime. It's the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Gametime is fast, easy, and it's backed by the Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all the fees are included. So the price you see is the price that you're going to pay. I pull up Gametime all the time, and in just a couple taps, I see amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite NFL games for as low as $100. The app makes it super simple. I can even see the exact view from my seat before even buying the tickets. And honestly, it's faster, it's cheaper, and it's less stressful than any other way that I've bought tickets before. So download the Gametime app today, create an account, use code one word locked on MLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. Thank you guys for making Locked On Yankees your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On Sports Network the #1 sports podcast network. Every Friday, we answer your questions, and now we're opening it up to comments as well. If you're not part of the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club, become a part of it. And this is what you have to do to get involved on Fan Mail Friday. You go to Locked On Yankees YouTube channel, click on our post tab, and you'll see the latest post that's telling you about where you can leave your questions and comments. Ask us anything about the Yankees. You can leave comments about the show, comments about how you like the way we do things, and baseball in general. We appreciate everything. The deadline for this week is going to be Thursday, November 13th at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Also, Stacey, some scheduling for later on the week. Tomorrow's episode, we are going to have a sports lawyer on. Dan Lust is going to come on and discuss the implications that are coming with this Emmanuel Clase news that's coming out in the sports books and sports gambling and what it means for baseball. I think there's an interesting caveat in here too. The CBA is up after next season, and the TV deals are up after this year and 2027. Does this affect those things? We're going to ask Dan, and he's going to give us a lot of answers on those kind of things. So looking forward to that. Tune into tomorrow's episode to check those things out. Now, we discussed Steven Kwan in the segment prior. Introduced you to him, what the kind of player he is. And that's not necessarily also to be insulting towards you guys as baseball fans, but we also realize it's a 162 game season, and it's kind of hard to keep track of what every player on every team is doing throughout the entire year.
Plus, we like to think that you guys know about stuff that's going on across the league, but we also know that you're Yankee fans, and sometimes we're a bit insular and we only think about the Yankees. There's a little bit of tunnel vision going on, so you really only see these guys when you're playing against them, so you may not know how they perform throughout the entire season, or sometimes you just see these guys in the playoffs, depending on what you're watching. So, we do know that you guys know your stuff, and we like to help you know your stuff. We just want to give you the whole picture.
Look at it as a briefing. We're giving you a briefing on who Steven Kwan is as a player. Now, Steven Kwan around the league, while not a signature name that you're going to see all over the websites and stuff, is a big-time player. And it's safe to say it would cost a pretty penny to wind up acquiring him at any point in his contract. Now, I do think the Guardians, when it comes to a deal, Stacey, are going to hold over the Yankees' head that, hey, he's got 2 years of team control left. I think that's a little bit of a fraudulent opinion on how much time he has left because of this pending
the
lockout potentially coming. I really think it's 1 year that's left on his deal. And I think the Yankees have to throw that back in the Guardians' face and say, it's really not 2 years, it's 1 year, and that's who we're acquiring. Having said that, would you say it would cost a pretty steep price for Steven Kwan this offseason?
I would think so. There would have to be at least one big ticket prospect, like Spencer Jones type prospect, because why else would the Guardians do anything like this?
So I did a lot of research the last week or so after JJ brought this up to me. And basically through the majority of sites, everyone has Spencer Jones, not Steven Jones. I'm thinking of Steven Kwan. Everybody has Spencer Jones involved in their trade for Steven Kwan. It's basically a non-starter for Cleveland. He is the player that has to be involved in this trade. Now, a huge consensus also had Cade Smith being the other player that was in on this deal. Cade Smith, they would want him because he's a pitcher and because of the upside. Now, he spent last year at a mix of high A and A ball and finished the year last year with a 2.50 ERA. Pretty good. He was drafted in 2023, and he had a 2.13 ERA currently in the Arizona Fall League where he's pitching right now. So he has really good upside. He's had really good numbers since getting to the Yankees and being drafted. So there is that potential that's sitting there. I also think they want Jones to pair him up with Ramirez in the future. Ramirez is getting older, but he still is their offensive focal point. You pair those two power bats together, kind of like a Judge Stanton kind of thing in their lineup. I think they love what that can represent in the future. So right now, Cade Smith is ranked as the Yankees' top 25 prospect in the system. It does fluctuate a lot. He's currently ranked 19th in their system, but they do say because of his age and where he's ranked, like what minor league level he's in, his prospect ranking is a lot lower than what it necessarily should be. The talent level is a top 5 prospect in their system. Because of the age and where he's at, because he went to college, he's a little further down than where he should be. Spencer Jones, obviously a top, what would you say, 2 prospect in the Yankee system, top 3 at bare minimum.
Yeah.
Do you think a player with top, let's just conservatively for Cade Smith's sake, say top 10 talent-wise prospect and a top 3-wise prospect is worth it for Steven Kwan? Do you sign up for this deal for the Yankees?
I would think so, with the hope that 2027 doesn't go the way people are thinking it's going to go and that they have a chance to keep him on through the prime of his career. But I have a question, and I don't see anything about it in the rundown, but what if this happens? What happens to Jason Dominguez?
See, that's I knew you were going there, and that's exactly what I was thinking at the same point. The problem with making this move is you're pigeonholing yourself in a lot of ways. And I think there will not be a move for the Yankees. Mark my word. I would bet anything that I could bet on this being true. There is no way a move comes down before November 18th when Trent Grisham has the opportunity to sign this qualifying offer. This all is impending on what he does with that qualifying offer. If he doesn't sign the qualifying offer, easy as cake for the Yankees. Go after Steven Kwan. Dominguez can play center field if you want to credit him to playing in center field full time. You can go sign a center fielder and have Dominguez play in off spots. You can figure it out. If Trent Grisham signs this deal, where is Dominguez playing full time?
Right.
He doesn't have a position. And then I don't know if it's worth having a 21 years old player who's nicknamed the Martian, who you've been talking about for years.
Like since he's 16.
Who, by the way, had a pretty decent rookie year. Wasn't elite in the field. Wasn't a butcher at the plate. Was pretty good. We're going to now just cut ties with him. Because, no offense, Steven Kwan's available. Like, you know what I mean? That kind of does fall in a little bit of a sticky area for me. I don't know how much I love the move when it comes to the Jason Dominguez stuff. And I also don't know how I like giving up on him after year 1.
Right. Also, tomorrow's show, we're going to talk about Dominguez in winter ball. So we're going to address some of this also on tomorrow's show. But I just was thinking about that because with all these other moves, it's like, well, Where's Jason?
And here's the
Dominguez
thing, that's another reason why I don't agree with the Grisham move is because they've admitted that they're in the outfield market this offseason. Like they're going to be involved. They want outfielders, and that's all good and well. But you're kind of putting yourself in a corner here with giving Grisham that qualifying offer. It doesn't make sense to me, and it's not going to make sense to me. And I'm sorry, I keep hearing this rebuttal, Stacey. Before we hit the break, I got to mention this. Is the draft pick that worth it? Like, how often do major league draft picks really pan out fully? It's not that often. So is the draft pick really worth Grisham declining a $22 million offer? Like that, I'm sorry. $22 million is not worth it for the draft pick they're going to get for Trent Grisham. It's not. It's not worth the risk. You're not getting enough of a bargain back from risking that. So to me, that the qualifying offer still makes no sense. And I think the Yankees are going to be sitting here for the next, 10 days? They're going to be sitting here, 7 days for a week. You're going to be sitting here if you're the New York Yankees, hoping and praying that Trent Grisham declines this offer and thinks he's going to get a bigger long-term deal out there. I hope it's the case. But, I mean, to me, it's just, you're really risking a lot here. So I like Steven Kwan. I think that deal makes sense to me. I don't know where Jones, if we don't have a place for Dominguez, we certainly don't have a place for Jones.
Right.
So where is he playing? I think it's a worthy deal. I do, especially because, even if Steven Kwan's here for 1 year, Stacey, and they have a lockout, and then he bolts in free agency to the Padres or goes to the Dodgers and hits 390 for the next 3 years, you know what? If the Yankees win a World Series in 2026, it's all worth it. You got Aaron Judge, his title, and what does Spencer Jones become anyway? That's what I think makes it worth it. So you kind of have to look at things that way too. They are in a win now mode. You have to make these kind of deals.
Right. All right, coming up, the Yankees get a new first base coach who's very familiar with some of their younger players. So we'll tell you all about him next.
What's up, guys? The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel. It's the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to getting involved in fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into same-game parlays for a shot at getting a bigger payout. Now, I love the Knicks. Later on tonight, you can get involved in that. Plus, Thursday Night Football coming up. I am not going to endorse a New York Jets pick against the New England Patriots. I think the Jets are going to get killed in that game. Maybe the Patriots with the points. Don't hate that a lot at all. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team can make that late game push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Head over to FanDuel.com and sign up to play your game with FanDuel. It's the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Stacey, Yankees making some news, bringing in a first base coach that is very familiar with the rest of the organization. How about you fill us in on this?
Yeah, so they've promoted Dan Florido to the role of first base coach. This is according to multiple reports. He was most recently the minor league outfield and infield coordinator. He will replace Travis Chapman, whose contract was not renewed. And just like Travis Chapman before him, he will also serve as the Yankees infield coach.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't hate these kind of moves. Sometimes if they're not going to change the manager, sometimes little differences and little tweaks in the clubhouse aren't necessarily a bad thing. So while I don't think this is a needle mover per se, and I don't think this really, changes the outcome or how I view next season, it does sometimes help the players have a different outlook coming in.
So Florido's local. He's from Yonkers. He attended Fordham Prep in the Bronx, Manhattanville College in Purchase. He played with the Yankees in their minor league system from 2013 to 2016. He manned every infield position. He made it up to AAA before becoming a coach. He's currently 35 years old, so not too old, not too young. He also managed the Yankees High A affiliate in 2021, their AA affiliate in 2022. He worked with Anthony Volpe. He's also familiar with Austin Wells and Jason Dominguez and Ben Rice. So the list goes on. He's very familiar with the team. They're familiar with him. And as you said, it's not like, a move where you're like, wow, but it's one of those sneaky moves that could become something, because I need to tell you all this. This is funny. I didn't know about this until after we did our live stream on Monday. And I saw a social media post from Justin Latta of Locked On Guardians. And this is what he said on social media about Dan Florido. Good for Dan, great guy, good leader, was on the summer college ball team that I announced for 13 years ago. Great choice for the Yankees. But then he added this personal message for me and for most Yankee fans saying, if they ever fire Boone, here's your guy.
Yeah. Do you take a lot of credence in that, though? Because there's a really big caveat in the start of that.
Well, yeah, but I kind of like the idea that they could go from within, especially if this is a guy that's worked with a lot of different guys and he's been in the organization since he was a player.
Don't you feel like that guy? Don't you feel like that guy is Matt Blake?
I don't know. I feel like Matt Blake would prefer to stay on the pitching side and not have to deal with all the other stuff and just concentrate on the pitching.
Okay, I don't hate that. I don't know where they stand in Matt Blake's future. I do think it's interesting though that when he was potentially available, it was last year or a few years ago, they paid him apparently that those numbers don't get disclosed publicly because they're pitching coaches and stuff. And apparently he's the highest paid. He's paid more than some managers.
Right.
So they moved heaven and earth to keep him there.
Yeah.
So they clearly do value Matt Blake a lot.
Yeah.
So I do wonder if it's a good point. I don't know if he's going to be their pitching guy for years to come, or if he's one of those guys that's in the wings. But hey, it's not a bad thing to have two guys in the wings.
Do pitching coaches go on to become managers, or do they stay pitching coaches and go from team to team? Because I think
it's a case by case kind of basis thing.
Because I think for the most part, most of the pitching coaches we know of have stayed pitching coaches. So I don't.
Yeah. Here's an interesting theory too.
Mm-hmm.
What if, because they're in a World Series window right now and they're trying to win a championship, what if the potential of knowing if there's a swoon next year, they're going to have to move Boone and get rid of him mid-season? And the Yankees historically don't like doing that. They don't like firing guys mid-season.
Right. Not since Billy Martin.
We all know, yeah. We all know that if you fire a manager mid-season, more often than not, it's pretty difficult to make an outside hire and bring a guy in from the outside and have him just take the team on this magical run. Usually when those situations happen and a team goes on a run like that, it's because of a guy that you brought in that's in-house. Players are familiar with him, and it's not too much of a transition to get used to a new guy because it's a guy in-house. What if the conversation's been had in-house by Hal Steinbrenner and Brian Cashman? Hey, if we have one of these spoons next year, where in June we start off the month 3-13 and we fall out of it, Boone's gone. But we don't want to hire a guy out of nowhere and go bring some guy in off the street to come be the Yankee manager. We want to make a guy the manager that we know is capable of being the manager, and the entire roster is familiar with him, and it's not too much of a transition for a team in the middle of a World Series window. What if they're promoting Fiorito right now to get him to the major league club, bring him up, have him familiar with the whole major league roster? And if everything works out and he's your first base coach, wonderful, great work. And if everything doesn't work out and they need to move their manager, they have a guy right there. Am I dreaming? Or is that like a pretty decent backup plan?
Have I been saying his name wrong the whole time? Because I can't read. It's Fiorito.
It's Fia. Am I
That's
crazy?
an I, not an L. And I wear glasses. I wear prescription glasses, and I still can't read certain fonts. I'm so sorry, Dan, that I can't read your name.
No one's
sorry.
But is that a wild theory?
No. That's why I'm like,
Just saying, like maybe I'm dreaming. Maybe I'm walking through Candy Island right now and I'm dreaming and I'm hoping for things.
I mean, they're going to have to let him go at some point.
Well, yeah, and I think if there's another one of those, classic,
they have to. They
can't.
Cannot let this happen
again
for a fourth season in a row, where this team just absolutely. I'm sick and tired of the excuses too. Oh, it's 162 games. Every team has ups and downs.
No one does this.
That's true. But no other team has their ups and downs so up and so down that we know when it's coming and we know that we're not going to get out of it for weeks.
Yeah. No other team does this to this level, to this extent.
Unless they're a really bad team. And then.
Well, yeah. The Rockies do it every year, but the Rockies do it every month.
Right.
And this is not what normal organizations do. And I do think if this being the fourth year in a row, if this happens again, it could be like, it could be kind of like the Giants with Brian Daboll, where it got to the point this year where it was like, you can't defend it anymore. They love the guy, but he has to go. Right. It might be one of those things with Boone where, listen, this is the fourth year in a row of this stuff. He's got to go. And maybe they're doing this knowing that this guy is Dan Fiorito is a potential future managerial candidate that they've been developing in their system. Maybe they're bringing him up to the major league clubs, knowing the possibility of if we have to move Boone midseason, which they're not usually familiar with doing. And again, the track record, there have been cases recently of a manager being fired midseason and a new guy coming in and that guy taking that team to the World Series. Happened with the Phillies and Rob Thompson. The difference with that, Rob Thompson was the bench coach for Joe Girardi when they fired him midseason. Rarely does it work where you bring in a guy off the street to come in and manage the team and have to get familiar with the players, familiar with their egos, familiar with the city, familiar with moving his family, all of that kind of stuff. That's very hard to get used to and jump into a managerial role and have a team kind of just hit the ground running from that point when you're mid-season. But if you have a guy who's already there, already moved his family to New York, already is in his routine of getting to the building, the players already know him, they know how he operates, he knows how they operate, it can kind of be a seamless transition. And maybe the Yankees know, hey, if Boone pulls this crap again, he's got to go. And we don't like firing guys mid-season, but this makes it easier. I don't think it's the worst idea in the world.
I also think it helps that he frequently, because that was the quote from the article, frequently worked with Anthony Volpe on his defense before games. So
yeah, no, it's a huge thing. And this is we've basically already agreed everywhere that Volpe's coming back next year, but this is a massive year for him. He has to prove it.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, thank you guys for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, find Locked On MLB. Baseball guru Sully brings you a daily blend of humor and baseball when it calls for it, because not a lot of humorous stuff happening in MLB these days. You know, Sully had to have a whole episode about the Class A Ortiz debacle, which we will talk about on tomorrow's show with Dan Lust, sports lawyer. Very cool. So for Locked On MLB, Sully will keep you updated on every rumor and story throughout the offseason. You can find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. So that'll do it for this live edition of Locked On Yankees. Tomorrow will not be live, just so you know. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you tomorrow.